Hey YouTube folks, I thought I'd bring you a late evening video before it got really dark and show you where I'm at on the van and show you why I'm replacing the leaf springs so y'all know. It's I gotta remember what side it's on, but see that? That's snapped off and that's pretty worn. And you're probably saying, well, if it's only that side, why not just replace that side, right? And you would think that. Just to clarify why I'm doing this, is so y'all don't just assume I'm an endless money grab bag and just throwing everything at this. That granted, there were other things on the suspension I was going to do, and obviously I wanted to clean it up. But I was able to get that bolt out, but I forget where it was on this one. I think it was somewhere up here I saw. Had some lovely, how you say, stress fracture crack. So, brief. So, YouTube folks, brief insight into the, and of course I'd leave a wrench out. Thought y'all would get humor out of that, so I'll put that in the door. But brief, for those of you who are probably not familiar with the van, you could probably look back, but I can do a brief reasoning into why we got leaf spring, or why that may have happened, and why it looks like it's snapped off, because clearly I think that's what happened, is because from the story I was told is that my uncle was trying to pull a tree stump with this, and he thought he accidentally destroyed the transmission in it and had to park it. But I don't think he ever determined that. He just assumed the worst, parked it and left it. And I'm thinking with any luck, it's because of those, and also because there's a broken tie rod here, which I got a set of them. Don't get me wrong, I am putting money into this van, but I just wanted to clarify so y'all don't think I'm more well off than I actually am, because quite frankly, I'm like every other blue collar person who watches my YouTube, living the day by day trying to make ends meet. But I happen to sell the Model A Ford to fund this, as y'all know that have watched it for a while. Just so to clarify, I'm not the wealthiest person on earth, but I make do as many of y'all are probably doing. I'm sure many of y'all don't own a van this old, but this has also for years been a dream of mine to either have an older van like this. Well, you know, I say like this, not necessarily exactly, but I'm glad I have this one, don't get me wrong. Or like an older 70s, 80s, mainly 70s or prior station wagon. And so when this van was offered to me, you know I couldn't pass it up. Even though I'm not the wealthiest person on earth, it's been my dream to own something like this, and I'm finally making it met. Because I believe I've mentioned it in videos before, but maybe I haven't, that I always thought the old school Ford Econolines from like the 80s and 70s were really cool, you know, the curved style. And I've seen them, but people usually want outrageous money, could never afford them, because that's what I really originally wanted, because that was what I was set on, because I was going to do an antiques business that I've kind of just, I'm not really doing it anymore, because I'm finding the stuff that I was trying to sell isn't as valuable as it used to be. But I won't get into that. But anyways, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. But I came up with this, so I am pretty excited about this, and that was my original intent with this. But now you know where I'm going with this van. And yes, to clarify, this van will never leave my possession, no matter how much my life picks up a little bit. better, which I'm hoping with time. And even if I could afford a different vehicle, I will always hang on to this, because this one will be my hobby baby that will always be kept up. If it needs redoing here and there, it will get redone, because this is going to be my Vanagon, so to speak. And wait till you see when it's completely finished. It's going to be really cool, and I'm excited. And when you see it finished and you see the full vision, which I'll walk you through in a finished video when it's completely done for you YouTube folks, don't worry about that, but you know what I mean. When you see the full vision of the rims I eventually want, the exhaust setup I want, and all the stuff, I believe I've talked about it in videos, but you know what I mean. And I've just kind of been finding as I go. You will truly see my vision and understand where I'm going. And I'm hoping when this is all said and done, I can join one of those van clubs, you know, where they have the old school, like, boogie style vans, like they were doing in the 70s when they were decking them out and stuff, kind of that. But obviously I'm going to go with the original paint scheme and stripe on mine, because I really like that. Except for the back hatch here, as y'all know, which I believe may have been in this van's life replaced, because you can see right here where that's a light blue and that's like a whitish gray, light whitish gray. Well, these are going to get replaced to match these, and same with the paint. So obviously I'm going with this paint color because this is the one I want on the van, and not this, because I like this dark blue with the lighter blue, baby blue pinstripes on it. So that's what we're going to go with. And so these will be getting new paint stripes at the same level as that. And I think I'm going to do it in piecemeal, so that way if I have to take it to a local place that does pinstriping, they'll know exactly where the pinstriping needs to be, what level they need to be at across. And I'll probably have someone do it stick on decal sticker style, but still try to match those original ones. And I'm hoping there's a place that can do that for me and recreate those, because that's something that's really imperative. The other thing I've thought about doing is just trying to seam, if they're missing chunks in part of the stripes, just paint where needed and try to seam it in, like on here. This kind of gets down close to the stripe. Try my best to avoid hitting the stripe, but maybe just try my best to touch it up, worst case scenario, because that's right into the stripe, as you can see right where it peeled. And really that's only the biggest concern spot, but if it comes down to it, that's maybe what I end up doing. But I would like to try to salvage these stripes, or, you know, at least salvage enough of them to make new stripes made, because that's really ideally what I want to do. But again, whatever works. As you can see, we're discovering more stuff as we go, but it's life. I knew it. But one thing I can say to you YouTube folks, no matter your financial status, if you have a dream and you're working on your goals, say to try to get to a better financial status, because for those of you who watched my YouTube channel a lot, you know I'm a regular average day blue collar person, just trying to live my life, live in rural America, and you know, wanting to start up a berry farm as my main business, but also still work another place. So for those of y'all watch that, you know that, and you know that I'm that type of person. But if you have the little bit of financial ability and you have a dream, and say you can at least start it, and it's within affordability of your thing, and it doesn't take away from your other living expenses, go for it, because you only live once. Your dream is once, and I think this van is my dream. And it was initially free to me in the beginning, but costed me some money to get it home on a flatbed, $150 all said and done, after that fiasco, which I won't get into, because I don't think I really need to touch much on that. But anyways, it's over and done with. It's here. And so, you know, this is my baby, and I'm gonna make her mine. And I say her because obviously y'all know I named her Maggie, after my grandfather's dog that he had in the 70s that had died long before I was even born. A little basset hound. He called her Maggie Valentine. So I thought it would only be fitting that this van's name was Maggie and that it was a her, because obviously I just think that's so cool. Including the fact that I found that bug guard that goes on the front of the hood that came off of one of my grandfather's rigs that originally said puppy power but had been faded, and so I repaired it with this decal stickers. So it was only fitting that I named this van Maggie, and it made sense. And the other thing that came to mind while me doing that was, I don't know if you remember that Nickelodeon show, something, Maggie, the Adventures of Maggie the Explorer or whatever. And she was like, looked like one of those people on an African safari, but had like the little yellow dinosaur guy with the polka dots. If you were a kid in the 90s, 2000s, and you watched Nickelodeon, you know what I'm talking about, I think. I forget the exact name of the show, but anyways, that also has popped in my head the whole time I think of the name Maggie, remembering that show. So it's like, and then I also imagine what Maggie Valentine may have looked like, or things that or, imagine her being next to my grandfather when he was younger in the 70s at the table, because he did like to share people food with her, Some people do with their dogs. They like to treat them occasionally to something. And imagining from the stories about her and the things that they would do together, and like the things that he would get her to say before he gave her a treat, like sandpaper isn't smooth, and then she'd go rough, because that was a thing he would do with her when he would feed her something, a little taste from the table, treat her to a taste. So, it's kind of like that. It makes me think and imagine at my grandparents' old house, him sitting at the table with her and, really doing that kind of stuff. So, needless to say, from seeing pictures of Maggie and remembering those pictures in my head, it kind of has just been the whole driving force behind this. And I feel like the soul of Maggie the dog is shining down on my grandfather and probably saying how, and it kind of makes me a little teary-eyed, how proud she is that there's something dedicated to her, because I'm sure she was a really nice dog when she was alive, and I always thought about how nice it would have been to meet that dog, because I bet she was just the greatest thing ever, because I know if she had the personality of my grandfather, it was like, obviously she was one of the greatest animals on earth because of that, because my grandfather had a really good personality, and you just had to know him and know him as a person. And obviously he was a very big impact in my life. Y'all should know that, because I've probably speaked on that. But yeah, so that's been the driving force behind this, and that's even more of a reason for why I am doing what I'm doing. But yeah, so if you, like I'm saying, if you have a dream and you have some money to put towards the dream, maybe you don't fully complete the dream, but you've got it there, do it. Just get your dreams done. That's all I can say, is because this is my dream, and my passion is in this van. I know my passion was in the truck to begin with, but sometimes people evolve, and if I could have built both the truck and the van, I would have loved that, but I just couldn't, and I needed the money for the van. And obviously, I figured the lesser of two evils, as one would want to put it. The van is newer than the truck, but the van has been showing its trials that the truck didn't really show. But it's been my dream to own one of these anyways, so this is kind of like the driving force. My dream is the driving force to see this thing to the finish. And also because it was my uncle's, it's a family vehicle. Even though he bought it used, it was still something he had. So in essence, I feel like it was his, and it just means so much to me, and I'm so glad and grateful to be the caretaker of this van. So happy. And I can't say that enough. And this thing is going to, when you see it done, YouTube folks, I am going to be so glad to show this off to you. And yes, I might be one of those people that has their baby, their car that they rev in the driveway occasionally, and hope I don't annoy the neighbors. But because y'all should know something about me. I may be a car person to an extent, but I'm not a car person in the same way that most car people are, where they like have dreams of multiple different cars on their list that they want to own. There's different cars on my bucket list that I've thought about would be cool to own, but not necessarily I'd be sad if I never owned them. But I am, in a sense, because I have the ability to work on stuff and figure it out. Because obviously, as I've told you, I've never really ever been able to afford a mechanic, and to have this restored would be astronomical, I'm sure, just for what it is, just to get the base done to it, and then on top of it all, the add-on accessories that I would want added on to it over time. So if I was going to have a shop restore this, and I even had remotely close enough to get the base done to this, that's probably what I would have done, is it basically redone it as is, and then eventually someday when I had more money I would add-ons. But I don't foresee myself ever being that anytime soon, because, you know, this economy, and it is what it is, so that's why. But yes, YouTube folks, look for more updates on this. I hope you liked this video. It's getting dark. Yeah, so that's basically why I'm replacing the leaf springs. Plus, you know the old adage, at least in my opinion, if one thing goes, the others go. If there's two of something, if one of them goes, eventually the other's gonna go. That's always been my motto. So why piecemeal it? Why do one at a time? Why not fix it all at once and do the a la carte and have it done right? It's always been my motto. Always will be my motto. Yeah. So anyways, YouTube folks, I hope you have an excellent time, whatever it is, wherever you are. Keep your heads up, stay strong, all that kind of jazz. Enjoy this beautiful van that will be even more beautiful when it's transformed and fixed up. Obviously, I'm going to be keeping that metal rack, of course, and the ball hitch. I'm just taking it off so I can clean it up. And, of course, they'll be going back on. So that'll be cool. Be able to tow a small trailer. That's about all you'd ever want to do with this. But you can tow a lawnmower with this, probably, or something to that effect, or some lawn equipment. But yeah, you wouldn't want to tow copious amounts with it, because it's not made to do that. I probably won't do that. I just want it on there because it was on there anyways, and it could have came with it stock, because my Uncle Sonny did do a lot of towing, and it does look of the era of when this van was built ish. But it also could have been something he put on there in his time of owning it, because of obvious reasons. He did camping and he had campers, and I'm guessing that because he had a pop-up camper that was obviously probably no good by now, sitting on the same property, as he probably used this to tow the pop-up, because this would tow a pop-up very easily, I believe, in my opinion. These vans, something like that, something small, a small boat, like a little sailboat or something small. But, you know, again, not anything major. You wouldn't want to tow the Taj Mahal with this. It's not a big 2-ton, 3-ton truck. It's a giant van anchor, essentially. Nothing against it, but you know what I mean. Anyways, YouTube folks, like I said, have an excellent time, whatever it is, wherever you are. Keep your heads up, stay strong, all that kind of jazz. If you wouldn't mind liking, commenting, and subscribing on my videos, if you enjoy them, it's greatly appreciated, but not obligated. I like my space to be an obligation-free zone. I love constructive criticism on how to make it better. You know my views on the cash grab YouTube sensation that I will never be. Even though, granted, I could use that money to put into this van, I will not do that. I have more dignity than that. I respect people who want to do it, but that's just not my thing. I feel like there's so many other jobs where people are needed in this world now, and they want to be on YouTube, but I respect people who want to do the YouTube thing. I'm not fully against it, but I just, in my standpoint, would never do it because I don't understand it, don't get it. Well, I understand it kind of, but I don't fully get it why you would need to do that. But that's just me. But but like I said, as you know my standpoint. So anyways, as always, sunshine, unicorns, and rainbows. And I will catch you in the next video. And as I forgot to say, you know my standpoint enough now. I think that I don't really need to fully talk about that as much anymore. That's why I'm always brief about it. But I did want to make that standpoint clear because I didn't want any of y'all watching my videos to think that I'm trying to create YouTube videos for money and not posting out the quality you would expect for someone making money too. Which I also believe I may not ever be able to get to the quality of someone making the right amount and the right quality videos for a YouTube channel of Money Grab either anytime soon, being filming on my phone. So there's also that, because you need the specialty equipment, which I currently would not even be able to afford. But oh crap, getting attacked, yes. Sorry, YouTube folks. Bug that wanted a piece of me by the looks. It was staring me down, and I didn't like the looks of it. It could have been a giant mosquito thing. But anyways, I will catch you in the next video, YouTube folks.